The September 11th attacks were the deadliest terrorist attacks in history. Four commercial passenger airplanes were hijacked by terrorists and turned into weapons. Nearly 3,000 innocent people lost their lives. Thousands more were injured. The impact of this day is still felt across the world. The man later identified as the mastermind behind the attacks was Osama bin Laden, the leader of the extremist group known as Al-Qaeda. Osama bin Laden was not uneducated. He studied business and economics and later earned a degree in civil engineering. He was intelligent, disciplined, and capable of long-term planning. But over time, his worldview became shaped by extremist ideology. Bin Laden blamed the United States for its military presence in the Middle East and for supporting certain governments in the region. Exposure to wars, political conflict, and extremist beliefs gradually transformed him from an engineer into a terrorist leader. Instead of using traditional weapons, bin Laden chose commercial airplanes. A fully loaded passenger aircraft carries tens of thousands of liters of jet fuel. He believed that the United States would hesitate to shoot down its own civilian planes. In his calculation, the airplanes themselves would become devastating weapons. The targets were chosen carefully. The World Trade Center symbolized America's financial power. The Pentagon represented America's military strength. Washington, D.C. was the center of political authority. These were symbolic targets meant to send a message to the world. 19 men were selected for the operation. Some were trained pilots. Others were told the mission involved hijacking, not suicide. Many of them did not fully understand the true nature of the attack until it was too late. Several hijackers legally entered the United States months before the attack. They enrolled in American flight schools, where they learned how to control aircraft in midair. They were not interested in landing planes. They only needed to know how to fly them. Before September 11th, airport security was far less strict than it is today. Cockpit doors were not reinforced. Passenger screening was limited. Security standards varied widely. The protections we take for granted today did not exist at that time. September 11th, 2001. The weather was clear. Visibility was perfect. 4 flights took off normally from airports in the northeastern United States. Nothing seemed unusual. American Airlines Flight 11, United Airlines Flight 175, American Airlines Flight 77, United Airlines Flight 93. Each of these flights would soon become part of history. After the planes reached cruising altitude, the hijackers moved into action. Weapons were revealed. Passengers were threatened. Cockpits were forcibly taken over. Air traffic controllers began noticing communication problems, but the true danger was still unclear. At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. Fire and smoke filled the sky. At first, many believed it was a tragic accident. At 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 slammed into the South Tower. At that moment, there was no longer any doubt. The United States was under attack. President George W. Bush was visiting an elementary school in Florida when he was informed of the situation. Within minutes, it became clear that this was a coordinated terrorist attack. American Airlines Flight 77 was hijacked and redirected toward Washington, D.C. At 9:37 a.m., the aircraft crashed into the Pentagon, the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Defense. For the first time in history, the Federal Aviation Administration shut down all U.S. airspace. Every aircraft in the sky was ordered to land immediately. United Airlines Flight 93 was still in the air. Passengers began receiving phone calls from friends and family describing the attacks in New York and Washington. They realized their plane was part of the same operation. The passengers of Flight 93 made a decision. Rather than wait for certain death, they fought back against the hijackers. Their actions prevented the plane from reaching its intended target, believed to be either the White House or the U.S. Capitol. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapsed. At 10:28 a.m., the North Tower also fell. The skyline of New York City was permanently changed. Nearly 3,000 people were killed. More than 6,000 were injured. Firefighters, police officers, office workers, and civilians lost their lives. Families were changed forever. The entire world watched in disbelief. This was not just an attack on America, it was an attack on humanity itself. In the years following the attacks, Osama bin Laden initially denied involvement. Later, he released recorded messages in which he accepted responsibility for planning the attacks. The United States launched what became known as the War on Terror. Military operations began in Afghanistan with the goal of dismantling al-Qaeda. For nearly 10 years, Osama bin Laden remained hidden. U.S. intelligence agencies continued searching for him across the world. Eventually, a suspicious compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan, caught the attention of U.S. intelligence. The evidence pointed to one conclusion: bin Laden was hiding there. In 2011, a covert mission was approved. U.S. Navy SEALs were tasked with capturing or killing Osama bin Laden. Under the cover of darkness, American forces entered the compound. The operation lasted less than an hour. Osama bin Laden was killed during the raid. After nearly a decade, the manhunt was over. September 11, 2001 changed the world forever. It reshaped global security, air travel, and international politics. But most importantly, it reminded the world of the cost of hatred and extremism. This was not just an attack on buildings. It was an attack on humanity. And remembering it is how we ensure it never happens again.